Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Here.
Ms. McFerrin? Mrs. Stauffer? Mr. Bellin? Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Fury?
Here.
Mr. Scafidi?
Here.
Would you join Mr. Barr in the invocation and pledge of allegiance, please?
We ask for guidance and direction in all city matters before us tonight. We give thanks to be able to be together. Let us continue to strive to make our community a better place. Help us to work together, and may we give our best always. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have the things we think to ourselves.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to,
Nope.
that's audience participation too.
Sorry. You want to say no?
Good evening, Council. Sue Clark, 9845 Crestwood Drive. And you guys might have talked about this in other boards. I don't know, but I'm just here to share a couple concerns about 06-2019. Has Council looked into whether we can build on this portion of wetlands? Have we contacted the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to make sure it's not protected? And also, where's the trail going to be placed? Does it go through the FEMA flood plan? And I have an outline of the Army Corps, what their criteria is, and I also have a colored copy of the FEMA wet plan, if you guys would like that, just to make sure that if we do this, we're not going to waste our money, go back, redo things, redo bridges with the financial situation that the city's in. So I just wanted to lend my help, if I can help, if you guys are interested in any of this.
I'd like a copy of your maps.
Okay. Would you also, I only have 2 copies
It's
of
all
the
right.
actual guidelines from the city corp engineers from the Army. Do you guys want that as well?
If you just-
There's enough copies, color copies of the flight plan, the FEMA plan. But those are the guidelines, so, just so that we can make educated decisions going forward, it might bring some things. And Mr. Finch might have covered this in meetings. If you did, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to attend those, but just wanted to bring some concerns to the council so that we can make educated decisions going forward with the purchase of the land. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Sue. Okay. Shannon, please let the record reflect that Ms. Stauffer and Mrs. Yeah, are here now. Okay, next I'd like to make a motion that we move into an executive session to discuss a land acquisition. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Scafidi, second. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Back we go. Back?
We're back.
Okay. We had our discussion in the executive session about Resolution 06-2019 a little bit. Next is on the legislation, which is Resolution 06-2019. Shannon?
A resolution authorizing the mayor to submit an application to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources Clean Ohio Trails Fund and obligating funds necessary for the purchase of land should such grant be awarded, and declaring an emergency.
Okay. Dave,
Yes, sir.
is an emergency, we have to put the emergency clause in this, correct? Or no?
It's written as an emergency.
It's written as an emergency.
Yes.
Okay.
We have to file it by Friday, but it doesn't have the whole reading.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 06-2019.
No, you don't have
No.
to suspend the rules on a resolution.
All right.
He could
Oh,
just,
it's a
we could just
resolution.
read it as a resolution,
apologize, I
as an
thought it was an
emergency.
ordinance.
It has to be as an emergency.
I did
so-
too.
Right.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 06-2019 as an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
So Dave,
we're adopted as an emergency, so there isn't two sections of this. There isn't a vote on an emergency and then a vote on the resolution. That's why I thought that we were going to put this on third and final reading as ordinance. But now we're going to just adopt it as a resolution. There's no multiple vote. It's a single vote.
It is a resolution. It's not an ordinance.
Okay, I think that
I'm
we-
sorry if I confused that, but it's a resolution. The waiting period on a resolution is 10 days, which can't, it has to be filed by Friday. That's why we can't
I
have the 10
understand, but at
days.
one point it was talked about put it to emergency, and then if you wanted to make it, to do something different, do it, but that's not an option because it's just a resolution, you only vote once.
But it still needs to be passed by a supermajority of 5 members or more,
Thank you.
because it's a resolution, or because it's an emergency.
That's what they said back there.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Shannon, please call roll.
Do you want a
Wait.
discussion?
No, any discussion on here?
Any discussion? I just want to share that, this particular property, this project in and of itself is something that we're not sure if we're going to get the grant. So this is something we're approving the application. If we get it, we're committing the money. Probably not going to happen until the end of the year. This will be funded next year. This is part of a bigger piece of puzzle. So we've looked at that. We're aware of the flood area. The trail would work its way around there, working with Tinker's Creek. This has been a parcel that has been looked at for a long period of time, and when we look at our master plan as well as the connecting communities feasibility study we did, this is a way to connect down to our downtown area, which in my mind is important because I've been working hard and council's been working hard on trying to get, and the CIC's been working hard on trying to get downtown redevelopment. Part of me would love to see a way to connect our community to that downtown area. This would help do that. So this is something I'd ask, I guess, council to support. As Ms. Stauffer said earlier, this is a long-term planning thing that we've been looking at for a period of time. I understand the fiscal issues that have been brought up, but I believe this is a good spent public funds that will enhance the quality of life here in Twinsburg and our trail system.
No. Shannon,
Uh,
call.
I was gonna-
Mr. Fury?
Well, Mr. Barr first.
So I think it's important, just for the record, to reflect that council was made aware of this late in the afternoon of January 25th, so this past Friday. An opportunity came about. The information was disseminated to council by Tinker's Creek and Mr. Finch. And we had basically the weekend to digest that. With that being said, my immediate reaction to this was I don't want to spend any more money than we have to. I've served on the Environmental Commission before my time on council. I've worked with Kate at Tinker's Creek Watershed Conservancy, and I just want to be emphatic about this. If this parcel were not as critical as it is to the first mile, last mile plan that the city has invested heavily in, and it weren't such a specific linchpin to connect the downtown to Cannon Road, that I would not be in favor of this. I think it's very important that we tighten our belts in 2019. I want to quote Mr. Scafidi from our last meeting where he said we need to maybe just take a breath and really need to evaluate these projects. With that being said, I am only supporting this because of its long-term conservation benefits and its benefit to the residents of the city of Twinsburg as it pertains to the first mile, last mile plan. That's all I have. Mr. Fury?
City of Twinsburg has more parkland and land that's set aside than any other city in Summit County except for Akron and their vast Metro Parks system. I would rather not continue to buy parkland or wetlands because I think we've done more than our fair share of setting aside green space. That being said, I understand the value to the downtown redevelopment of having access to that trailhead. But the trail plan that that we're looking at adopting costs, if we were to complete it, it's a couple $1 million. So I think we need to come up with a vehicle to pay for that kind of thing, for acquisitions like this, as well as the development of those trails. And since we have so many pieces of property, the one at the corner of Glenwood and 91, per our comprehensive plan for the last 10 years, should be R5 housing. And it's zoned currently PUD. And we've had that go to the vote of the people before, but I don't think we did a good job of explaining. But now that the clubhouse is finished, there's no other area, there's no other reason to have that. We don't want more commercial property up in that corner. And I'm asking the other members of council and the mayor and staff to make a concerted effort to put that back on the ballot and support it as part of a vehicle to pay for from our own resources. I mean, we just divested ourselves of the Chamber House, and I'm really glad that we could work something out with the Historical Society, because we didn't want to put $200,000 into a building that we weren't getting rent for. It's not a good deal for the city or the residents, but we found a solution. If we want to build $1 million of trails in the next 10 years, have to come up with a vehicle to do it. And we have several assets throughout the city that are not tied to land conservation that we could use to generate funds to support this type of project. So I will support this tonight, but I would like to move forward as a council and an administration to finish that process on the 91 in Glenwood property that the city's owned for as long as I can remember. We bought it prior, just after or actually that was 4 cities at one point. So anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Freer, I agree with you. You know, we've had the discussion a number of times. Every week there is someone that's asking for that type of housing product in our community. From personal experience, I'm looking for my in-laws right now, and if you're not ready to put an offer the day that something goes on the market, when you're talking about upscale townhomes or cluster homes or any of that, it's gone in our city, which is a great situation to be in, but it just shows us the demand. We don't have that to offer our residents. So I do agree with you. Just to also comment on Mr. Barr, this is something that actually came to the city on Friday afternoon. I was in my office 4 o'clock. Larry said, we just got a call from this family and they're willing to sell. So it came to the city at a very late hour. That's why the emergency meeting, that's why Kate's been working on this for a long time. There's grant money available at 75%, which is a lot of money when you're talking about acquiring property. We're going to get a grant that's going to cover 75% of it. So this was thrown at all of us in a very short period of time. There was a lot of phone calls that went back and forth all weekend long. So again, but this is something that's been worked on for a long time, and it is an important piece as council has shared. So that's all I have.
I got nothing. Ladies?
I just agree with everything that everyone's saying.
Okay. I'm really conflicted on this. It would be nice to put this trailhead in, but I keep looking back and going, I want to save money. I want to stop the spending that we're doing and get back to spending for the necessary services that we have. And once we get that together and know that we're not going to sink any further, Sarah, where are we going to be at the end of this year in the general fund?
At the end of 2019?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to depend after we go through our budget process. We don't have a permanent budget in place yet. We're working through that, so.
Right, but we're going to have less at the end of this year than we have now, correct?
Possibly.
Well, I think it's more than possible, okay? We got to draw a line in the sand somewhere and stop spending money. I mean, what's gonna be the next thing that we're gonna look at and say that we wanna buy? With it, somebody says, hey, that looks like a really nice piece of property over there, let's buy it.
That is not how that went, this went down.
No.
Well-
There was a lot more thought than that.
I understand, okay, but I just, I'm at a point where I just think we need to stop spending like we're doing, so.
Well, you did listen to what Mr. Fury had to say. There's opportunities that, of
Right,
land that
and
we
you know
can
what,
sell.
I'd like to sell that piece of property and take all that money and put it on the clubhouse, a large debt. It's been my opinion ever since we got into the clubhouse that we needed to put a large chunk of cash on it to get close to breaking even on it. So that's just the way I feel,
Yeah.
and
Oh. Okay.
Well, and the other thing, there's community groups that would be interested in helping with this project, such as the Friends of Twinsburg Parks, and possibly the Environmental Commission. You know, it's a big piece that ties into our plan, and I think it's a great opportunity. And again, we have until towards the end of the year.
That's nice.
there is that this will be into the budget or into next year's spending. But then again, if we drop down in the general fund, we're gonna have a problem. It just. Yeah, let's
Maureen wants to-
call.
Maureen wants to
Shannon.
say something.
No, I was just there.
Go ahead. Call roll,
I'm
Shannon.
sorry, call.
Mr. Steele?
No.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, passes 5-1.
Okay.
That, I'd like to make a motion to excuse Mr. Bellin.
A second?
Mr. Fury seconds. Shannon.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to adjourn this meeting